Hey everybody, welcome back to another video on Firestore. In the last video, what we did, we talked about how to insert an object or a collection with nested objects. So we were able to go and insert a file and a collection called the food item. In the food item, we have an object and it has some attributes, and inside that object we have another object called location and has more attributes. So this is just a simple example, but you can do a lot more with it, and then you can actually add other attributes as you want, more level, but we don't encourage to have multiple levels. I mean, 2 levels are okay, 3 levels maybe you're pushing the limit. More than that, it becomes really messy to handle. So in the first video, the previous video, I showed you how to insert this into the cloud. In this video, I'm going to show you how do we read this information and from the collection and display it into your application. All right. So if we go back to the Xcode project that we've been working with, and this is what we did last time. These are my values. Again, you could do this with custom objects, but I found out that the custom objects, depending on the versions, might work, might not work, and then I didn't really find a good documentations on it. So even the documentations on the Firestore, even tried it, some issues with it. So we will use the basics. So this would guarantee that it would work in regardless of what you have. If you want to create your own custom object, you can create a structure and build your structures based on these values here. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to create, we already have another, function here in the storyboard. If you remember the storyboard that we did, we have a button called get. And so what we're going to do is that when we click on that button, we're going to go get data. So the first part of it is similar to this part. Basically, you create, you check, you want to make sure that you guarantee that you don't want people to get the data if you're not logged in. So I'm going to make sure, I'm going to copy this guy that we did before and put it in here and make sure that that person is actually logged in. If you want to, you don't have to, because you can do it in the application at the view did load at the beginning, but in case something happens while the application is running, you want to check the status before you access this database, all right? So this one will say that if you are not logged in, please log in. Otherwise, we're going to do this. We're going to get the data. I'm going to create a local reference. So let document reference. And then the same reference that we have above, which is this one here. Did we not create a reference here? Okay, we did not create a reference here. So I'm going to create a reference here. And this reference is going to say DB, the one that we created above, which is basically just teach and can I remind you, this is the DB object, which is Firestore, and then we made sure that we included these into your project, the Firestore, and then the authentication. And then I will go in here and say, what is the collection name here? So the collection that we're going to use is the one that we've used above, which is this food item. So that is my collection, all right? And this is my collection here. And what are we gonna put? You're gonna get the document. So what document are you gonna put? Now, I have a text field that already called, here we have a text field called document name, which is whatever text field that you entered. So if in our case, we had 2 documents, falafel and shawarma. So I'm gonna say command copy this, and then command V here. I'm sorry. So this one will give me the document name that I'm looking for, and I will use this document name in my in the document that I want to retrieve. So I'm going to say document, and then the document name is the actually doc name that we have. So that's my reference. Okay. The next part is actually to get the data, and then we've done something similar to this before when we say we get the user, if you remember. So how do we do that? We just simply say doc reference, for example, doc reference. and then we say get document. Now I'm going to say get the document, and I'm going to use the completion handler, which is this one here. So get document, and then that will give me the document name. Where is that? We want the document name here, right? So I'm going to get the document name, not set data. We want to actually get, why is it not saying? I'm going to say get document, get document. Okay, and so this one here. So I'm going to say document name. All right, so what we're going to select is that actually we're going to select this one. So get document with a completion handler. All right, so I'm going to take that and double click on that. What you're going to get is that you're going to get the document and you're going to get an error. All right, so I'm going to say I'm going to get the document here. If we found the document, we'll get the document. Otherwise, we will get an error. Double click on that and we type in error here. All right, and this is my code. So this is very similar to what we've done before, is that I'm getting the document, and whether if I got an error, I will get a document. If I got an error, if I don't get an error, I'll actually get the document. Otherwise, we'll get an error. So what are we going to do in here? We're going to say if error equal to nil, that means what? That means that we actually got the document. All right, so what are we going to do in this one? We're going to do the same thing that we have done before. I want to make sure that I insert. Yeah, this is okay for this one here. All right, I just like to better my code. Okay, so what are we going to do? Then we want to get the item, the food item. So I'm going to say if let food item equal to what? Equal to the document, and document, and it is a condition. It is optional variable. So I'm going to unwrap it, and I'm going to get the data from that document. So if I got the data and I got the document and I got the data, now I can proceed. I can get the fields from this document and then display them in my form. Now we've done something very similar, but here we have two levels. So I'm going to show you how we do the first level, because we have basically the food name, the type, the timestamp, the user ID, location, city, area, and street. All right. So these are simple to get. And what about this location? How I'm going to do this location? All right. So let's get those items first. Okay. I'm not going to get all of them, but I'm going to get enough of them. So I'm going to say let what do we have? We have item. What did we call that? Food name, I guess. Food name equal, or we have txt, right? Let's get the food name first. Let's food name equal to what? Equal the food item in between bracket the name of the field. This is a dictionary. Remember, it has an attribute. So if I put the name of the attribute that I'm looking for, this will give me the value that is stored in that attribute. So food name, it's important, of course, to use these proper names. So I'm going to take this one from here. And then if you don't have it from here, you take it from the database, from your collections in the cloud. So I'm going to put that in here. And then this is an any object. So it doesn't know what is the type of this object. So what you need to do, because we know it is coming to us as a string, so I'm going to say it is, we're converting this as we are casting this as a string. So I got my food name, and I can do the same thing for the other one. For example, let type, for example, food type equal. I'm doing it in two steps so you understand. I mean, you could do it all in one step, but this is, I like to do this part easier. So what I'm looking for is that I'm looking at the next field, which is type. Okay, so I'm going to say type. And again, this is a string as it's conditional. So I'm going to cast it to a string. All right, so I got the type and I got the food name. But what about the other ones? What about this guy here, which is the location? How do I get the fields inside that location? So what we can do with this guy is that we can say, again, I'm going to say let location equal to 1. Now, this is a little bit different than the other one. It's not a just simple object here. What we need to do, we're going to say food item, and then we use the field location that is in the data dictionary that we received. This is it's called location. So I make sure that I got that. This is the location. And how do you know these if you don't have this insert? Of course, you can go to the database and these are your food items. So that's the food name. This is the location. So you can copy these or from here and make sure that you use the same field in your application. All right, so if we go back to the Xcode, and now what do you cast this? It is not a string, it is not an integer, it's not double, it is actually what? It is another dictionary. So the other dictionary is a string, comma, or a colon, and it is any, same as we defined when we defined this one here, notice. So food item, attribute, value, okay, it's a dictionary. So what do we do now? Now I have another element that I can get the data from, which is location. So if I want to get the city, let city, for example, equal location, right? And then you will put the attribute inside that location, which is in this case, city and street and area, right? So I'm gonna say location here, city. Again, it is as a string. Okay, and then let area equal location. Again, we will put the name of the field or the attribute. Again, it is as a string. And then let street, is that what we called it? Equal, let me sure I got it right. Okay, street, yeah. So let street equal, let street, we have to unwrap location because it is a variable. That's okay, I'll fix it in a minute. So location, we have to unwrap it, and then street, and as string. All right. So now I got all my attributes. We need to unwrap this, and let's make the code a little bit more organized. I know this is, I love to do this, but it's up to you how you do it. All right, so I got my attributes that are at the external object. The internal object I converted into a dictionary, which is the location, and then I got those. Then I can get the elements in that location just like I did with the food item. So now I have nested objects, and I was able to get those two the values from those nested objects. Now, if you have more, you do the same thing, right? Now, what do we do next? The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to display those values on those text fields. So I'm going to have txt name. Already name is written, so I don't need that. So I need to say txt city dot text equal the city that I found, and then I'm going to say txt. We have txt, we're going to use self because it's inside a completion block. Let's do self dot txt. I think it is called address, right? Txt address. And the address is going to be a combination of the city, sorry, the area, and the street number. So I'm going to put the street. And then space the area. All right, that's why we call it. All right. So you'll have the street and the area displayed in the address, and then those all are optional variables because we're converting them to a string, so we need to unwrap them, all right? All right, and we need to put the type. What's going on here? Cannot assign, oh, dot text. All right, and then what we need to do, we need to say at the end is the type of the food, self.txt, dot type equal dot text equal the type that we got from the data stream. Again, I'm doing this in 2 steps so you understand everything that we are doing. You could do it all in one. Type doesn't like that. Food type, yeah. Okay, so we are done. So that's if we found it. What about if we didn't find it? We didn't find it, we'll display the error, and then you can clear all these fields, right? It's up to you. I mean, I leave that to you. But if we have an error, just like we did here, in the message, you can put food was, you can display the error, and then you will do that in the, so if error is nil, we check for the document, we get the document. Else, if we have an error, what do we put? We will say document was not found. Okay. You can put also display the error if you want or not. You can take it out. I think I called it error. Just take it out for now. If you want to, again, you just do that. Just put it in the string, just like we had the error. And then if we did find it in here, I'm going to say what? I'm going to say Command V, document found. Right. And for sake of completion, I'm going to do this. Command copy here. I'm going to put it in here so we clear the data that we actually did not find it. Okay, so I'm going to make that equal to blank. I'm going to make that equal to blank, and I'm going to make that equal to blank. All right, so that is guarantee that we're not displaying it. All right, so we are ready to test it to see if it works. Okay, so just recap it, and I'll show you, I'll explain it to recap after we're done. So if we run it, what should happen now? If I type in we're waiting for this. If I go to the food items, if I type in falafel, I don't know the spelling, but I'm just gonna falafel. I don't know if that is right or not. And I get. What's going on here? Did I not tie these actions together? Let me check the code. So let me go to the main storyboard. Let's check this guy. It is food with items. Why is it not working? All right, maybe I didn't get an error, but okay, let me check something here. Let's just type in the name as is here. I'm gonna copy it and see if we get it. Maybe there's a problem with the if statements, but let me just run it again. And then this, and then we got the falafel, get. Okay, so we got it. So we have a problem with the if statement. I'll fix that. I'll show you how. So we did find it. So we were not getting an error, but yet so if I type in this, it's going, it's not finding the document, but I'm not getting an error, right? So what do you need to do? You need to go again and check this. Let's stop this guy here for a minute, and let me show you how we fix it. So the problem was is that we were not getting an error. We're actually not getting a document. So how do we fix that? If we go back to our code, this is where we were checking. If we don't have an error, we do this. And this is the other piece that would say if we got the document, then I'll do this. But what if we don't get the document and I don't have an error? So what you will have to do, you will do something similar to what we did. So you put else. Again, what do you do is that we already have the code to do that. You can copy this. So instead of document not found here, we say we have an error getting the document, getting data. And then I will put here the error. And then in the other one here, we will say the document not found. Okay, so basically copied what we have below into here. So if we didn't have an error, but we didn't find the document we're looking for, I'll clear everything. And then here I'll say document not found. Otherwise, if we have an error, we display the error and we clear the data. All right, so this is kind of like safe, kind of like error proof. So we don't get an error. So we capture all the scenario. If we have an error, we don't have an error, we get the data. If we don't get the data, we display the document not found. If we did get the error, we display the error. All right. I'm gonna show you all the code here in case you want to see it all. So here is the errors. Here is the document. You can take a snapshot of it while you're doing your tutorials. Okay. So that is that part, that part, and then, yes. Okay, so it's not, this is it, okay. All right, so to recap, basically, we have multiple level object. You get the objects like we've done before, but for the nested object, you'd convert it as an array, and then you get the elements from that object, and then you display it. If you didn't find the document, you print document not found. If you found an error, you print an error. So let me just show you what happens now. So if I type in food items, if I say ABC and then try to get, and say document not found. If I type in, I know falafel is there. If I spelled it correct, then I say get. Okay, I can spell it correctly. So let's make sure it is falafel. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this from here, command copy. And then I will, obviously you can do better than that when you can make it like a search for similar data, not exactly the same. But now if I run it and I type command V here, I don't think there is an A. Like that, and then I say get the data. Now I got the data, and then I got everything. So that is it for this video. So now you know how to insert nested objects, how to read nested objects, how to insert users, how to set the authority for these objects. The next thing that I'm going to show you is that how do we get a list of these food items, and I'm going to display it in a table. And the last video I'll show you is that how do we store an image of this object into the storage and make a reference to it in here as well. All right, I'll see you in the next video.